This next speaker is a total weirdo.
You won't believe it at first, which is why we, her sisters, will prove it to you. As kids, we were never apart. She used to follow me to the bathroom and wait outside until I was finished.
When referring to the effect heat has on her, she has said the phrase, "I'm like dry pasta. If you boil me, I get noodly." And I still don't know what that means.
Whenever someone asks her how old I am, she automatically says I'm 8, but I'm 12. And it usually takes her a few seconds to realize that.
When we were younger, we used to watch scary movies in front of my parents' bed. When she got scared, she held on to my dad's toe while he was sleeping.
She has finished, with the help of our friend Sana, an entire jumbo box of goldfish in one sitting, and it was a regular person sitting.
Sometimes when she gets angry at me, she says, "Wafa, I'm gonna bite you." And a few times she actually does. And it's not like the greatest experience, but like, thanks for the warning.
The next speaker is a total weirdo, but she's our weirdo.
So let's all welcome her to the stage.
Up next is Mashal Naqvi.
Our car makes its way down the dirt road, sunlight blazing through the towel-covered windows. Outside, mustard plants dance in the slight breeze, sending their yellow gold warmth back to the sky. Inside the car, I hold my chin in the back seat, sitting behind my uncle and next to my cousin, waiting to reach the gates of my grandfather's farm. Slowly, we come to a stop. I look out my window, meeting eyes with a man who stands by the roadside, waiting to cross the road. His face is wrinkled with old age and decades of smiles, and his eyes are deep set with a mischievous sparkle. My uncle waves him over, and he leisurely walks past the car, giving us a salute and a smile as he does. We wait till he is on the other side and then continue on our way, Coke Studio songs blasting and mustard and rice fields paving our way to Sabrai. Where do you think I am? Somewhere beautiful, peaceful, pleasant, right? You're right, I'm talking about Pakistan. Life in Pakistan is like nothing else I've ever experienced. We run on desi time, but somehow there is never a slow moment. Every food vendor and chaat stand stays open till at least 2 in the morning, and the roads are absolutely deserted until 10 or 11 a.m. And the people were no joke. Lahoris will feed you until you're about to explode. Families blast their wedding music until the sun comes up, and don't even get me started on Independence Day festivities. In a nutshell, we are a passionate people, passionate about our food, our music, our history, and every little thing in between. I like to think I'm no exception, as everyone in the senior class has definitely heard me ramble about Pakistan at some point in the last 10 years. Sorry, guys. Throughout my childhood, I saw Pakistan as a place where I could go and immediately feel comforted by the noisy streets, the colorful bazaars, the pigeons nesting in our bathroom window, and the constant presence of family and friendly people. It's home, simple as that. But when I started attending school in America, I realized that no one else around me felt this way about the land I loved so much. Living in Eau Claire, Wisconsin, an endless number of people asked me questions that introduced me to how ignorant American society could be. When I was 8 years old, my hairdresser asked if I had any access to electricity or clean water there because she thought Pakistan was just a desert. Later on, in middle school, my classmates repeatedly asked me if I would be safe when I visited, asking if I would be hit by a bomb or hurt in a terrorist attack. As I grew older, the world tried to convince me that Pakistan was dangerous, that it was dirty, that I should be scared when I visited, and that my family wasn't safe there. It hurt me. Knowing that all people thought of when they heard the 3 syllables that I had grown up adoring was violence and pollution and corruption, it truly hurt me. Your assumptions about Pakistan most probably stem from what you've seen on television, news reports from a dominant Western perspective that cater to an audience with a single-minded view of the world out east. A view centered around destruction, injustice, violence, and not much else. Whether you realize it or not, this narrative is rooted in years of the West portraying countries in Asia, Africa, the Middle East as helpless until America saved them, brought them freedom, or gifted them with superior ideologies. Even now, despite our access to information, we accept the shallow view of places and people without considering their deep-rooted histories, their colorful culture, and their individuality. What you see is a single perspective, but what you don't see, and what many of us have tried in vain to show you, is everything else. What you may assume about Pakistan, as people often do with majority Muslim countries, is that women don't have a role in society, that we aren't given leadership positions or respect or a voice. But what you may not know is that we've already had our first female prime minister, Benazir Bhutto, in the 1990s. Along with that, Muslim women have had rights to land ownership, divorce, and inheritance since the time of the Prophet 1400 years ago. Like the US, we still have a lot of work to do towards gender equality, but we have made strides that cannot be ignored. Personally, almost all of my female role models in life have been Pakistani women whose country or religion have never held them back from being fiercely strong and independent. Similarly, what you think you know about Pakistan is the destruction and pollution, the grainy videos you've seen on the news of dusty villages and cities buried in rubble. Kashmir is made out to be nothing but a war zone, a place where Pakistan and India butt heads, a place where violence thrives. But what you haven't seen are the wonders of Kashmir, of Swat Valley, of Old Lahore, of Sidi Pai, to name a few that still take my breath away. The northern areas are filled with sky-skimming mountains, tops dusted with white snow, surrounded by bright green valleys, glacial lakes bluer than any others you'll ever see, wild horses grazing in emerald fields. The north is truly magical. Old Lahore, my personal favorite, is a maze of spice bazaars, colorful dangas, fruit markets, and historic mosques that are filled to the brim with color and spirit and soul. In the last 17 years, I have seen only a fraction of the beautiful places my country has to offer. But every time I visit somewhere new, my eyes are filled with wonder, and I'm given yet another reason to love Pakistan wholeheartedly. I could go on and on about music and fashion and food, every subtle, unknown thing about Pakistan that has strengthened my love for it over time. The more I learn, the more Urdu poetry I hear from my dad, the more Pakistani food my mama makes, the more I fall in love with every little part of the country. I know that it is not made of violence, pollution, and corruption, but rather of diverse people, breathtaking landscapes, and a rich, pluralistic culture. So, that's my truth. The truth of someone who is deeply connected to this country, Pakistan, someone who has grown up spending at least a month there every year, who knows the people, the landscape, the culture like the back of her hand. Do you believe me? Do you believe me when I say we are a country full of strong, unique individuals, not just helpless brown faces dependent on Western intervention? I want you to realize that the news doesn't define us, or any other country that is only ever shown in a negative light. So, before you make assumptions, before you write off Pakistan, or Iran, or Syria, or Afghanistan, or any of us as worthless, meaningless, remember that the media's perspective should never be your sole definition of a place or a people. Educate yourselves, reach out, get information from people who actually know that place, who love that place, really try to seek its true value and individuality. As for me, I am proud of where I come from. I have hope in Pakistan's ability to improve and advance, and I will always raise my voice in efforts to share its beauty and strength. Thank you.